Paul said, let the goal of our instruction be love, not let the goal of our instruction be attack. Before we worry about making unity a priority institutionally, let's work on us.
There is, as you know, a lot to worry about these days, and it's hard to mask the troubles. It's more expensive to eat, drive. Crime is up. Foreign powers from Russia and China are threatening what was a relatively peaceful world. The midterms, I should say, are upon us, so there is a way for a new day, but the campaigns bring out a lot of fighting, too. Rick Rigsby is here tonight to share some thoughts on coping with it all. Rick, good to see you again.
Great to see you as well, Doug. Thank you for having me.
You bet. I'm privileged to have you here tonight. I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson. One of his mantras, one of his messages before we go about trying to fix the world or fix the culture, get your own house in order first is what he often says. I think that's really sound advice. What are your thoughts?
Did you read my notes?
I did not.
That's exactly what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Instead of solving the world's problems, particularly when it comes to disunity, let's focus with us. And let the focus be upon us. This is what I mean very specifically. When I think of political division, when we think of political division, we tend to think institutionally. To Jordan's point, we need to think individually. Let me give you an example. Yeah. There are two dimensions to this notion of political division. First, the communicative dimension. As you know, the basic function of communication is understanding. It's to understand. But that has shifted. Now the basic function of communication is to demand our own way, right? So we have shifted from understanding to winning. Mm-hmm. Whatever happened to the Socratic method, where westernized education is built upon? Yeah. The Socratic method means that you think critically. The Socratic method means that you work toward developing understanding, and most of all, you listen to your opponent, right? Mm-hmm. If someone opposes us today, if someone thinks differently from us today, we don't make space for that. We attack them verbally. Sometimes we attack them physically. Our greatest attacks tend to be in the arena of social media. Yeah. Paul said, let the goal of our instruction be love, not let the goal of our instruction be attack. Before we worry about making unity a priority institutionally, let's work on us.
Mm-hmm. Boy, that's such sound advice. Here's the difficulty, and I'll use, I don't want to point the finger at anybody, so I'll use myself. I was in Nashville when I first started this job. I was doing a hit for the Huckabee show. Yeah. And I had just come from the show. A friend of mine who plays banjo with me was in town. He said, I wanted to see this great band. We go to see this great band, and during a break, I asked one of the musicians in the band, I said, didn't you used to play with such and such? And he goes, yeah. And he said, who are you? And I said, oh, I'm just in town visiting friends. He said, what are you doing in town? And I said, well, I was just on the Huckabee show. He says, oh, I wouldn't watch that blank for that. And then he says, you know, you probably worked for Fox News, too. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I did. And anyway, so I just impulse control disappeared from me. Yeah. I didn't slug the guy, but I sure wanted to. Yeah. And I let him have it with both vocal barrels.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't engaged in the aftermath of it. Yeah. What should I do in that very moment where you lose that impulse control and you want to lash out, you want to lash back?
You model that which you want replicated. You model it. And so what you want to do is regardless of their reaction that you cannot control, what you want is to model civility. Mm-hmm. What you want is to model common sense. Oftentimes we don't because we just react, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think we have to make space for differences of opinion. Let me say that again. We have to make space for differences of opinion. I want to tell a story real quickly about one of your friends. And so I'm fortunate enough to appear from time to time on Charles Payne's show, making money. Not because I make money, but I provide a human interest element. By the way,
Charles Payne is a really nice man.
Great, great guy. Yeah. Listen to this. A while back, I'm on a show right before Christmas. This is the theme of the show. There's a Republican, there's a Democrat. They're at the Christmas table for dinner. The question is, how do you have dinner without killing each other? They bring in me for commentary. My commentary is simple. Have we forgotten the lessons of our parents? Have we forgotten the lessons of civility and respect? Doug, I remember growing up in Northern California in the 1960s. The weather is pretty mild for half the year, if not more so, which meant we would sit on our porches. This is the day when we had porches. And my folks would love to entertain everybody in the neighborhood, and they would come sit on our porch and they would have lively discussions. Sometimes those discussions got heated, but at the end of the night, they got up and shook hands. They got up and hugged each other. We have to make space for disagreements. It is dissension that moves progress forward. That doesn't mean that you attack. You know what it means? You listen. You think critically. You know what it means? That the goal of our disagreement still has to be love. Here's a very interesting passage. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10. Paul simply and unwittingly says, I appeal to you, dear brothers and sisters, by the authority of our Lord Jesus Christ, live in harmony with each other. At the height of dissension, at the height of violence, at the height of hatred, Martin Luther King said, we're either going to learn to live together in unity or we're going to perish together. We're going to perish together as fools. We're going to either learn to live together as brothers and sisters in unity or we're going to perish together as fools. Doug, we are perishing together because of a lack of civility rooted in common sense respect.
You know, and the middle is gone, the central part, the compromise. You have to give up something that may be near and dear to your heart when it comes to an argumentation like that. If we want to find middle ground, you have to admit your own faults, I think. And if you can get the other side of that argument to do that, maybe you made some progress.
Nothing can be more Christ-like than swallowing hard and listening to an opposing point of view, even if you think they're wrong.
I would also add to that, just bite your tongue for 10 seconds.
Yes, sir.
When those passions arise. If you can survive 10 seconds, you'll get through it.
And in the spirit of Jordan, may it begin with me and may it begin with you, brother.
And here's a real, we got to go, but here's a real practical lesson. Southerners know this very well. It is, just use the phrase, well, bless his heart. It works pretty well.
It works pretty well.
Rick, so good to see you.
Great to see you, Doug. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.